Welcome to the Rice Field Archive. This time, we return to Vietnamese folk tales with the fool who won his case. It is a comic old tale about a poor, simple-hearted man, a chain of strange exchanges, and a royal judgment that turns foolishness into unexpected fortune. So settle in and let this old story begin. Once upon a time, there was a poor young man with no home, no family, no father, and no mother. He was simple-minded, so people called him the Fool. He went to live with a wealthy master and worked as a servant, sweeping and cleaning day after day without ever seeming tired. Seeing that he was strong and easy to order around, the wealthy man took advantage of him. After 5 years, when the Fool held out his hand and asked for his wages, the master coaxed him into working another 5 years. The Fool believed his sweet words and happily stayed for a new term. Another 5 years passed. When the Fool again asked for his wages so he could leave, the rich man persuaded him once more. "We have known each other as master and servant for so long. It would be hard to part now. Stay with me for another 5 years. After that, I will pay you for all 15 years at once, 3 ingots of gold. Then you will become a rich man." Hearing such pleasing words, the Fool put all his strength into working for him for 5 more years. When the time was finally up, the Fool was determined to ask his master for his wages and go home. This time, no matter how the rich man tried to coax him, he would not listen. So the master brought out 3 ingots of gold and gave them to him. The Fool was overjoyed, took the gold, and left, not knowing that they were fake ingots the rich man had deliberately made in order to cheat him of his wages. Now that he had money in his hands, the Fool decided to visit the capital and wander around to satisfy a long-held dream. After walking several miles, he met a silversmith. The two became acquainted along the road. The silversmith asked him what he did and where he was going. The Fool hid nothing at all and proudly showed him the 3 ingots of gold. The silversmith took one look and knew they were fake. But seeing that the Fool was simple-minded, he began to think of taking advantage of him. He said, "In the capital, except for the nobles and powerful families, people like us find it very difficult to spend gold. Why don't you exchange it for silver? Silver can be spent anywhere. By chance, I have some silver with me. If you want, I can exchange it for you, 1 gold ingot for 2 silver ingots. What do you say?" The Fool thought his words made sense and eagerly asked him to make the exchange. He did not know that the silver was only 6 pieces of lead cast very cleverly into the shape of ingots. Having never known what real gold or silver looked like, the Fool happily took them and continued on his way. When he reached another place, he met a paper merchant. The man struck up a conversation with him, and the Fool cheerfully told him all about his silver and his plan to visit the capital. The paper merchant saw at once that the silver ingots were fake, but as he happened to need some lead, he coaxed the Fool into exchanging the 6 silver ingots for 1,000 sheets of paper. Pointing to the thin paper, he said, "This is the finest kind of silk called Palace silk. It is extremely valuable. Wherever I take it, people fight each other to buy it. Bring it to the capital and sell it there. For each square of silk, you will easily get 1 yuan of money." Hearing such tempting words, the Fool gave him the 6 silver ingots in exchange and carried away the 1,000 sheets of paper. When he came to a school, he saw several students playing with a pinwheel made from beautiful pieces of red and green paper, something he had never seen before. He pushed into the crowd to look and asked, "What is this thing?" One student joked, "This is called the wheel of heaven and earth. With it, you can understand the heavens and reach the earth. You can know everything in the world before it happens. It is precious beyond description. Seeing that the fool was fascinated by this strange toy, the students teased him further. "Do you like this wheel of heaven and earth? We can sell it to you, but only for a high price." The fool was completely enchanted by the mystery of the wheel of heaven and earth, so he begged, "I have no money. I only have 1,000 sheets of palace silk. Please exchange it for me." When the students saw the fine paper, they could not have been happier. The exchange was settled very quickly. The fool carried the wheel of heaven and earth away, secretly delighted. He thought that one day he would be able to understand the heavens, reach the earth, and be admired by everyone. He continued his journey. Passing through a wide field, he saw a group of buffalo herding children playing by the roadside. They had caught a large insect with beautiful red and green wings. Curious, the fool stopped and came closer to look. The buffalo boys refused to let him see and shouted at him, "This is a lapis lazuli jewel. Wear it in summer and it will keep you cool. Wear it in winter and it will keep you warm. It is priceless. Not even the emperor is certain to have one." The fool never imagined there could be such a precious thing, so precious that even the king might not own it. He took out his wheel of heaven and earth and asked to exchange it. The children, seeing such a pretty toy, agreed at once. They put the insect into a small cloth bag, tied the mouth of the bag, and warned him, "When you get home, open it and look. If you open it before then, the jewel will fly up to heaven and be lost." Now that he had obtained the lapis lazuli jewel, the fool thought to himself, "How lucky I am to have found such a rare gem, one that even the king does not possess. When I reach the capital, I will present it to the king. Surely the king will be pleased." Thinking this, the next day he arrived in the capital and immediately went to the royal palace, determined to meet the king and offer him the jewel. The guards at the gate saw a ragged man asking to see the Son of Heaven, so of course they refused to let him in. The fool explained, "I worked as a servant for 15 years and received 3 ingots of gold. Then I exchanged them for 6 ingots of silver. Then I exchanged the silver for 1,000 sheets of palace silk. Then I exchanged the palace silk for the wheel of heaven and earth. Finally, I exchanged the wheel of heaven and earth for this lapis lazuli jewel, which I have brought to offer the emperor." Just then, a high minister was about to enter the palace for an audience with the king. Hearing the fool speak, he hurried over and told him to let him see the jewel first, and promised to take him in to meet the king afterward. The fool took out the cloth bag and handed it to him. But as soon as the minister opened the bag, the insect flew straight up into the sky and there was no way to catch it. Seeing this, the fool grabbed the minister's robe and cried loudly, insisting that he had to pay compensation. The guards gathered around and pulled him away, but he kept shouting and lying there in protest. The matter reached the king. The king ordered the fool to be brought in and asked him to tell the whole story from beginning to end. The fool said, "I worked as a servant for 15 years and received 3 ingots of gold. Then I exchanged them for 6 ingots of silver. Then I exchanged the silver for 1,000 sheets of palace silk. Then I exchanged the palace silk for the wheel of heaven and earth. Finally, I exchanged the wheel of heaven and earth for this lapis lazuli jewel, which I intended to offer to your majesty. But because of this man, it has flown away." No matter how many times he was questioned, he only repeated the same answer and pointed at the minister as he cried. At last, the king judged. "This commoner brought the jewel with good intentions, wishing to offer it to me. In order to obtain the jewel, he spent a great deal of effort and money. Therefore, the one who caused the jewel to be lost has not only wronged me, but must also compensate him fully for all the gold and silver he spent. As for me, I shall grant him a small official position to honor his loyalty. And so the high minister had to compensate the fool for everything. From then on, the fool lived happily, became rich, and grew wiser. And with that, our story comes to an end. The Fool Who Won His Case. If this old folktale stayed with you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. For more Vietnamese folktales, myths, legends, and forgotten stories, please consider subscribing to the Ricefield Archive. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again in the next story.